Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show. I'm your host, Diana Bellarosa, award-winning and best-selling author of Fahrenheit, The Journey of Transformation and the Light Within. You can find out more about me on my website, dianabellarosa.com, as well as download today's podcast and my past podcasts. You can comment, subscribe, and let me know what kind of a topic you wish me to cover, and I'll be more than happy to do it. Please follow me on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and Player FM. And today we have Joanne M. Cherisma. She is Haitian, born wife, a born-again Christian, a mother, a nurse by profession. She is also author of I Never Thought I Would Be a Statistic, in which she shared her testimony of how she overcame an abusive relationship. And she's with us today, so welcome, Joanne Cherisma. Could you please tell us what you have been since you've been live on my video show? I'm so happy to have you again.
Hi. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I recall correctly, the last time we met, it was about probably 2-3 years ago.
We have a really good question. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I think it's just feedback. Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, just a little bit better. I don't know. We have some sound problem. I don't know.
Okay. So I was basically the last time we met. I think it was about 2-3 years ago. And since then, a lot has been happening. We've been more active in the community. And I published a book. And we've been allowed to talk about this book and talk about domestic violence.
You're trying to fix the
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to fix the sound?
No, I answered the question.
Okay. Can you tell us how going through abusive and domestic violence relationships changed your life? What you were able to accomplish in the relationship?
Well, since I left the relationship first, I started a nonprofit called Beyond Youth to bring awareness to the subject. And I also published a book. And I've been going around and bringing awareness to domestic violence through activities and different sections.
That's very good. And you have been doing a lot of events, inviting women to share stories, got involved with some kind of organization. And of course, you help somebody refer to you to find a safe place. With Statistic, doing great, and thank you so much for doing that. Tell us what kind of a relationship you were able to establish with the community, with the police station. How did you do that? What kind of steps did you take?
Well, in 2016 when we started, we were mostly like a group of community, being involved, trying to bring awareness on the topic. And I wanted to go further than that, so I went ahead and status registered nonprofit. Right now, we have a relationship with therapists, advisors, and family. And I would not say that we have a close relationship with the police, but if we happen that, of course, if we meet them, we know how to reach them. And our we directly with the survivors' family, trying to help them rebuild self-esteem and mostly moving forward and showing them that it's actually done, and of course it's a process that once you really put the process, everything is possible. And
yeah. And you are going to school right now, and you're a certified nurse, right? And you're doing wonderful job in helping with the COVID-19 situation at the moment. What is your advice to the women right now in this situation during the COVID-19 who are in domestic violence and abuse relationships? What they do, how they be able to be keeping themselves?
Okay, and I was reading mostly last year. They were saying that because of COVID and the quarantine, the numbers drastically up. And somebody, for somebody that is in the situation right now, will be first, to try to have a plan. Like they said, that's exactly most people and they're trying to leave. So I would say, work on the safety first. Make sure that you have your steps defined. And of course, we don't think it's never going to be perfect. Better to go ahead and say that all. That was the first thing that I would advise them to do, and make sure they have the right contact numbers, right resources, because you have to realize that going back because what you pick up on and they're gonna and it might escalate and suddenly knows how bad you might end up being afterwards. So make sure you have the plan, the right conversation, you have steps established before you actually take action to be action because it's a perfect not and of course, that whatever situation you're not the only person in it. That's why I'll speak up something that's not alone. Put up the time to think that we are the only person going through and also educating, we don't want to talk about it, which is almost all the time. So, and make sure you have a strong circle of people around you, talent there. When you speak, or even a serious for you
a lot of we don't kind of a support, especially now because of the financial situation of a lot of people, and it's really difficult. And do you have cases of women who are living right now at this moment, although we are facing these financial difficulties? And if you have, can you please share us what kind of steps they're taking or how you'll be able to help them?
I had a house to me, but she was in the process of getting. She had already left, so she was, mostly she was struggling like after, right? She wasn't sure what she was gonna do. She was dealing with a lot of low self-esteem, and of course, being a relationship become a she was dealing with a lot of decisions trusting her decisions. So but her case was different because she had already left the person. So what we did mostly was, encouraging her, take it easy, don't be so hard on yourself because, we only human. And I always said that there's never mistake, it's only lesson learned. So it's not because there's no situation should define your life, and you have to give yourself more credit because especially for a lady, we can take a lot of strength to actually put a plan into action and carry it. So we were mostly going through a lot of different sessions of empowerment session, and she needed resources in regards of what's doing next. So what legal action to take, because she had also a child involved in the situation. So how to deal with the legal system in terms of custody and the separation itself, how involved that person was going to be in the child's life. So we were able to direct her to to the right resources where she could. She didn't need a shelter, like I mentioned, because she already had left. So, but mostly that's the kind of work we did with her, and a lot of the a lot of things is dealing with you as a person, dealing with your mental, and because if you have no strength, you will have to gain your power back and your confidence and your self-esteem, and forgive yourself, for being in the situation, because we often blame ourselves very harshly because we feel like we could have made better choices, but like I mentioned earlier, we only human. Things happen. And in order to move forward, we need to forgive ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you share with us the places where women can reach to you, talk to you, phone numbers in New York? You're in New York. How they can get in touch with you? Can you share with us? You're doing a wonderful job.
Always go on our website where they're going to find the different contact information. The website is www.beyondtheabuse.com. And we also on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond the Abuse. And our phone number right now is 516-256-9531, 516-256-9531. And we can also be reached through email. The email address is info@beyondtheabuse.org. And, that's the main resources. And I'm personally as well on Facebook and Instagram at Joanne M. Cherisma. So, I'll answer whatever messages once I get it. So it could also go through me.
So this is your organization doing something about finding a place for the women to live, because I think this is the biggest problem. This is something that is keeping them from living abusive and domestic violence relationship. They want to have safe place to live, especially when children are involved.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you do something like placing them in safe home or something like this? Do you working on this, or you have available?
We try to work with different shelters in the neighborhood, or many other women colleagues who also have different organizations in that instance. Because us personally, we don't have any shelters, right? So what we will do, we will direct them to one of these people. After of course making sure their place is safe and everything, and then it's like giving them a referral kind of thing, and making sure they they'll have a safe place to stay.
Do you work only in New York, or you're able to help somebody who lives in different states, for example?
Mostly right now we are mainly active in New York, but if somebody happens to be in a different state, we will try still to help, but we'll have to make probably more research to make sure, we actually find a contact in that specific location where we can.
Your nonprofit organization is growing basically, and it's making connections with other organizations in other states.
Yes.
And you're trying to do your best to help as many women as possible, and men, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have written a book about your life. Can you tell us a little bit about this book? And if people buy your book, what they're going to be able to learn from it?
Okay, so I published the book back in 2018, and it is called "I Never Thought I Would Be a Statistic," and in which I share a little bit of my experience being in an abusive marriage. When mostly in the book came out as a way of expression for me first, because when I was going to therapy, I realized that it was way more people than I thought that was going to a situation similar to mine. So I wanted to choose writing was the best way I could do it, because I've never been a public person. So I wrote the book, and also I wanted to show people that it was possible, that life after abuse was possible. And in the book, obviously, I share a little bit my story, and also try, I mentioned a couple of resources in there, and I have some poetry in it because I also write poetry.
Wow.
And mostly it was, a way of expression, and mostly showing people that situation doesn't have to define your life, and your life doesn't have to stop there. And you can move on, you can flourish, and realizing whatever dreams you have for yourself, you just have to be willing to put in the work, which is, I'm not gonna lie, which is very hard. So working on myself is, it's a day-by-day process, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want something so much, and if you want your freedom, which is the most amazing feeling, that's what we live for our freedom, then you'll be able to accomplish anything you put your mind onto it, and even more.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your future plans for the organization? What are you doing right now? What kind of events you're planning? Can you share with us, please?
Yeah, I could share a little bit. Mostly right now, we're growing in numbers, and trying to establish more contact in different locations. We're working. Of course, we have like our main event that we always have every year. We have book fair we've been having it. This year going to be our third year, so we're working on that currently. We have the domestic violence event in October, and but in between we having small group sessions, and empowerment session. We also started a group support where people can come and it's a safe place where people can come and express their feelings themselves, and we try to be there for them as much as possible, answering the questions. And we have one of our members currently is living in British Columbia, which is in Canada. So we trying to even expand ourselves beyond the state, which which I'm very excited about. Yeah, mostly that's the main thing that we're working on right now, and we're planning an event for March, but once I have more detail, I'll make sure that I forward them to you so you can share them with the people.
What are your words when it comes to empowerment to the women right now, stuck at home, not knowing what to do, and they're still facing this abuse and domestic violence? How they'll be able to empower themselves? What kind of advice would be able to give to them, so to give them the power to leave this toxic relationship and to believe in themselves?
I will say because once your mind is the most powerful that you can preserve, especially when you're in a situation like that. And like I mentioned earlier, with quarantine and COVID, everything is so much harder. So, try to find different activities where they can keep themselves busy, and if they can reach out to other women, which might be harder, which probably harder now because we have to practice social distancing, and I know it must be very hard, but in case they really can't not live right now, it's I would say most likely keep themselves busy. If it's through writing, reading, reach out to people that make, safely, of course, not to do nothing that's gonna put their life into danger. But most likely you have to be creative and work with what you have. And it's just tough. It's a very tough situation right now, I have to admit. And I know it's very hard. So that's mostly what I would say to them.
I'm receiving this question, what if women are having problem with drama bond? And what is your advice? What is the best approach when it comes to these obstacles?
What's the question?
Drama bond. You're missing
drama bond?
Yeah. They're missing the person who was hurting them so much, and they kind of cannot detach from them. So this is the most, common question women are mentioning in groups, and I stumbled upon. What exactly is your advice?
What I say to this is, it still comes to your mind, right? Your mind playing tricks on you, and of course, I always say to everybody, it's easier to stick with what you know, but that doesn't mean it's good for you. It's just a matter, you have to realize it's a matter of habit, right? You had a routine with the person. I know for me, when it first happened, it was really hard. For some time, I even had to stop going to the supermarket because I will go to the supermarket and I will just stand there and literally start crying because I will be like, I don't know what to buy because much of the meal I was cooking was for that person, and then now I had that sense of loss. Yeah, then and that only showed me that I had to work on myself because I had lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore without that person. And that's the part, I guess, it's people probably might think that it gets easier after, but it's a real struggle, and it's harder because it's an invisible struggle. People, they don't see what you're going through, and they're not going to understand if they've never been in a situation. And, of course, every situation is different. So you just got to find strength in, anything and everything. Like, my main source of strength was my son because I really did not want him to grow and think that situation like this were okay, and having him to reproduce the same situation. And, of course, even when I would be very depressed, I still had to get up and go to work because I had to feed him. So I did not have a luxury to kind of just lay there and sit here and then just look at him start. So I had to kind of get up, even if I was doing it just because I had to do it and not because I really felt like doing it. But of course, day by day, little by little, establish a different routine, and you realize each day is like, oh, I did yesterday, maybe I can do today, and of course be easy on yourself. And if you have to cry, cry, because like I said, we human, and sometimes we just have to let the emotion out, but it is important to make sure you have a group of people, even if they're never really gonna understand, but even if to having that person to call and express what you go through. The person doesn't have to necessarily be in the same city. Like for myself, a lot of my close relatives and friends in New York, but it's good to know that you have people that there for you, and they're willing to go the extra miles, and you can call them, and you can vent, and they're not gonna go around and tell everybody your story, because a survivor feeling safe is a very important thing, even afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So, but of course it's gonna be hard. Of course, we're gonna miss the person, and a lot of women, and personally I did it. You leave and then you go back because, like I mentioned earlier, it's just easier to stick with what you know. You just say, okay, maybe this time I'll have a better plan. Maybe I'll be more quiet. Maybe I'll be more submissive, or anything that you feel like you can come up with. But actually really change is yourself. You have no power over somebody else's decision, and in life, you can't force them to do anything unless they really want to do it. So that's the thing that you have to really remember and focus on, and find strength wherever you can find it and keep moving forward. Of course, it will get easier with time, but it will take time.
Absolutely. The only power you have is over yourself. You cannot change the other person, and if they don't see an issue in the way they're treating you, there's no way for anything to change. Even can get worse. And from what from my experience, from what I was able to, in groups, it looks like that most of the time the women, when they go back, then the things get even worse. So I definitely don't suggest this to happen, because you're basically showing that